And welcome to Rimvi. Rimvi is joining us here in ACIM Radio Gather radio page here for the first time, and so exciting to share with you here, Rimvi. We have actually been sharing some messages on Facebook just this past week. And while we were sharing, I was asking Rimvi some questions, and really beautiful sharing that was, I was really feeling some shifts. And actually even Dove mentioned something the other day when I was sharing, and something toward the end of my sharing that he really enjoyed, and it was what has been shifting after I have been messaging with Rimvi and sitting with what Rimvi has been giving me and guiding me with. And just a couple of days ago, I sent another message to Rimvi and asked him a question, and the response from Rimvi was, "I thought I killed you. I thought I chopped your head off." And very funny, because if anyone has heard what Buddha had once said, and Buddha said, "If you find me on the way to enlightenment, chop off my head." So here I was again. And here I am. So Rimvi, when we spoke about that, something that you said to me following that, and I'm going to read what you wrote to me in the message. You said, "So, you noticed already that your mind can multiply anything at all if you are not aware of it doing so." And I'll just repeat that again. This is what you typed in your message back to me right after you said you thought you'd killed me. You wrote, "So, you noticed already that your mind can multiply anything at all if you are not aware of it doing so." I'm going to ask you to share a little on that. And I'm going to hand over the mic to you and welcome you again to ACIM Radio Gather. Welcome, Rimvi. Handing over the mic.
Hi. Firstly, I want to ask, can you hear me now? And if yes, then we can continue. Okay, very good. So thank you, Robin, for introducing me, because I really don't have a way to introduce myself, because whatever I would say about myself is a complete untruth, which will not matter. Relatively, it would be true. Absolutely, it's only my personality or anything else. And from the sharing what I spoke with Robin, is very important to notice for everybody that mind is the nature of the mind to duplicate, to multiply, and to always create something out of nothing. If you give one thing, it will create always at least a couple of things more out of it. And being aware of that is what actually can catch the mind of doing so. If you are not aware, you will immediately identify yourself that you are that mind, or you are that part of you which is the creative part, but in fact you are behind any of it. You are the awareness which sees all of it. You cannot be that mind which multiplies because you see it doing so. And it's very important to become more and more conscious of all the perceptions that you have, everything that is being perceived, that you wouldn't get deceived of everything what's in front of you. Since we know that we're not our bodies, you can immediately notice what you're not. If you take, for example, and see what is my, you see that I have my body, I have my name, I have my emotions, I have my feelings, I have my ego, I have my mind, and all of it is mine. But the most important thing is to find who owns all of these things, who is the owner of all of it. And very quickly you'll see that you'll get stuck in one point where you really cannot find anything there, but something is there to claim that all of it is mine. So really it's very important to find the I which claims to have all of it. And as I shared with Robin, I try to kill the part which always sticks the head out and says, oh, this is how I feel now. Immediately ask, who is that I who feels it? So, is there anything really that you can feel? Because the feelings arise for the I entity. And where's the I entity, there's always going to be a problem, because I entity has preferences to have one thing in one way or another in another way. But if you try to find actually who is I who perceives of anything that happens in front of you, very quickly you'll get to a point that you cannot say anything at all, but you know that there's something there. And what is that? That is the most important thing to really find out. And I'll hand the mic to Robin.
Thank you, Rimvi. So, I'm looking here and what you just shared with us. And I'm going to read the rest of what you wrote in this paragraph, actually, because it's what you just shared here and what's in this paragraph is what's really sitting, what I'm really sitting with right now. You wrote, and keep noticing, stay conscious and aware, observe the mind. It comes in many different forms because it wants to be recognized as I. But the one who sees it all is the only true I. Stay as that observing space, presence in which everything happens. Everything is being seen. It is never exhausted and always there, even when you are not there. Just seeing if you may have anything further to share after me reading that to you. Back to you. Over to you, Rimvi.
Yes, so as you read that, as I described, that mind will always find a way how to enter to the back door. Once you think that this is it, you're over it, you know that this is mine, be very, very alert, because this is the most vulnerable moment for you, since the mind will get more and more subtle how to deceive you even more. Once you become alert that mind comes in many different forms, many different ways, it's easier and easier to notice it. But if you think that this is it, you transcended it, that's all, and there's no more, soon there's gonna be entity which will be I, the one who transcended, I, the one who knows it all. But in fact, I know nothing at all. But from this not knowing, everything is being expressed, because in order to know something really, you have to be something who knows it. And if you are nothing at all, then you know nothing at all, but everything happens out of that nothingness. And a lot of the pointers that I shared with Robin are just about catching her mind, because mind, the more I work with her, the more subtle the mind gets, the more different shades of identities it presents, and it covers itself in such a subtle ways that it seems almost invisible. And if you're not alert enough, it's very easy to get deceived and immediately identify yourself with that I again. But if you always call yourself I, and I feel that I, you need to find out the I who is doing all of it. Without doing that, there's no way that you can move about in life and have a really blissful life. It's always going to be something that will disturb I. If there is I, it will always get disturbed. If there is no I, there's no problem at all. To whom the problem can occur if there's nobody to be bothered by it. So the only true I that you will always find is that one which is never actually touched. It's never disturbed. It cannot be disturbed. It's just an idea of the mind that it can be disturbed, that it can be somehow forgotten or done anything towards it. And it's never going to be exhausted. Even when you go to sleep, in your deep sleep, it's always there. Do you think when you go to sleep, you stop existing? Just because you don't remember what happens, it doesn't mean that you stop existing. The I which you identify yourself with, the I entity, disappears. That's why everybody loves sleep. After a hard, long day, they love to go to sleep and just forget about everything, all the doings, all the worries, all the problems. And we all love to go to sleep and have a sleep where there's nothing happens and you just simply rest without the I sense. But in the morning when you wake up, immediately the I sense occurs. And if you're alert enough, you'll notice the first identification that happens. And if you're there to notice it, it means you don't have to identify. You can stay as the one who sees, who observes, and stay with that, because that presence is the holy presence, if you can say. It's the whole, and there is no partial part of it. It's only that there is, and everything that you see is only an expression of that. Anything that you perceive, it can be only an expression of that. Without that, nothing could exist. So if you're overly focused on the things that actually exist in front of you, you'll get indulged very, very quickly, and you'll get disturbed, and you'll get actually carried away by them, to a point that it will reach some time where it will really become a big problem. And once it reaches that, you will not want to move forward anymore. Then the question arises, who am I? And when the question as this arises in the body mind, this is when you know that the consciousness starts shining, and the consciousness wants to recognize itself. Before that, people are living in the Garden of Eden. They live with the joy that I want to achieve this and that, and they don't even know about anything of what we are speaking here, because that is not their reality. They have no idea of these things, and they're fine living their problematic life, worrying and caring about all the stresses and so on. But consciousness works in a way that it lets itself to be identified to a certain point where it experiences all that it needs here. At that point, it sees that, okay, I had the experience here, but even if I'm rich and famous and I have everything that I need, something is missing. There's always going to be something missing as long as you're going to be chasing for something, doing for something. Outside will never be fulfilling, but inside will be always the place where you can find fulfillment. And even the outside and inside is only concepts which are actually to be transcended, but for the time being that we're talking, there's no way to talk about it without making into paradoxical sounding and conceptual things. So if you at least trade the concepts of material world into more spiritual concepts, that may be an aid for you. However, what happens a lot, that people start clinging to the concepts of spirituality instead of actually looking what are the pointers pointing to. They start worshipping and praising the pointer as it would be a really big of matter. What is being said there? If, for example, if you want to go to a washroom and you see the sign, toilets are there, can you be relieved only by looking at it? As I haven't heard of a person that relieves himself just looking at the pointer. You have to actually take a step and go and do your thing, and that's it. Then you're fully relieved, and then you're happy. But if you just look at the pointer and you start praising and worshipping, what a beautiful sign, and how long can you do that? Until a certain point, certainly you can do it, but even that will become not as pleasant, since you're going to see that something is missing again. You missed something. You actually have to follow the pointer instead of staying and sticking with the pointer. Any sage, any great wise being will tell you the same thing. What I'm saying here is nothing different. I'm just showing you a pointer how to know yourself right now at this moment. Nothing else is needed. If you're really alert and you perceive what I'm saying to you, full realization can happen now, because there's nothing to do. There's nothing to learn. What I'm sharing here is just to recognize what is present here for all. It's not something that is created and that is my particular thoughts. It's already present, and I'm just letting you see what I perceive. And if you can perceive the same thing, immediately you will be released out of all of your bonds, and the freedom is going to be yours. So if you truly want freedom, you have to do it now. There is no other way to do it. If you want to still stick with the pointers, you can keep doing it, but that will not give you freedom. So I'll pass mic to Robin.
That was so beautiful. Thank you, Rimvi. As you shared there, and you touched on, as we are the witness, the watcher, the looker, in our aware state, if you could, it reminded me of the video where I first came to in contact with you, when we began messaging. When I watched your video, the 7 minutes watching thoughts, and you told me that you weren't even sure what you were going to share about, and that just came out, and that wasn't really something. I asked you if you had been using that technique, in which your answer told me that it wasn't a technique, and not to get caught in techniques, but that this was something that you felt guided to share about. So coming to this aware state, and you also spoke here about levels, in a sense that we see it looking through the eyes of the separate self, that we do see that there's levels to reach, that there's stepping stones to reach in this awakening. And as you so beautifully shared there, that it can happen right here, right now. All is right here, right now. And if you could share on that, and with your understanding of coming to this aware state, and what can take us there right here, right now, in what you would suggest and recommend as far as a meditation, sitting, watching thoughts, etc. I'm going to hand over the mic. Thanks, Rimvi.
Alright, so from what I heard, I immediately see where the perception goes wrong. There's no coming to here and now. Can you think of any other way than being here and now? For your mind, of course, you can be in the past and be indulged there. Or you can be indulged in the future and actually be afraid of the future because you don't know what's going to happen. At the same time, you can put all your hopes into the future because you think it's going to be better than it is now. When the future comes, it is now. Tomorrow, you will wake up and say today is a good day, and today is now. So the idea of coming into presence, and this is already the mind working in subtle ways, which is immediate to be noticed. Because if you don't notice this part, you'll keep thinking that I need to do something to get into here and now. No, there is no such thing. Here and now is ever present. It cannot be any other way. So the thought of getting there is just a thought. Coming it means that you're not there. You're somewhere else than here and now, and you have to come into here and now, where the great deception happens. Here and now is here and now. How can you come into here and now? You see, it's a very funny way to even look at it. And as for the techniques of meditations and so on, what I shared in the video was, I couldn't say that I was guided. It just really happened, because if I were to be guided, there's something or something else from me that would be guiding me. But then the duality actually occurs again. So the only way that I can describe is that it just happened, and it happened from the self towards the other selves, which are actually looking for something to realize themselves. And the 7-minute technique, to summarize it, it's a very simple way to immediately notice how your mind works and become aware of the subtle mind ways to deceive you and to pull you in. Since mind is very cunning and clever in this work of it, so for you to become aware of it, since a lot of people are not really interested in doing long meditations. So, and that is not needed. For you to realize yourself, there is nothing needed more than this one instant. And for everybody who's here, they can come out in full realization completely right now, if they wish so. But actually have to be aware, because even the wanting to come into that is already something what not should be there. It's just recognition that what is here, and you are Buddha, you are Jesus, you are Krishna, you are the holy being right now. There is nothing to nothing to become. It's only to recognize. And for 7 minutes technique is simply to sit down and close your eyes, to not get any outside information into yourself, since with the eyes we perceive 70% of information, which most of the times that's why we are so distracted. Our attention is easily attracted to many things. To avoid that, we close our eyes and we start focusing attention simply on our breathing. Once we start breathing, we become aware of the most unconscious thing, which is always present here. We breathe, but we are not conscious of breathing. So when you bring consciousness to the breathing is the one thing that starts expanding your consciousness. In such way, you'll see also that you cannot really keep that much attention on the breathing, since mind immediately starts dropping thoughts in front of your face. It doesn't want you to distract attention out of all the things that it presented before, because this is the way mind has the power over you. It gives you so many things to look at in order to not look at yourself. Because if you look at yourself, you become the master of yourself. Now, most of the time for the people, mind is the master of them. And this is what is important to note, that what is greater? Is it the mind, or is it the presence which sees the mind, which observes the mind? If you think that the mind is greater, obviously you're still in the thoughts which are deceiving you. But if you see that something is greater than the mind, to observe it all, and you, instead of identifying with the mind, put attention on the self which perceives the mind, everything becomes very simple. And all of this awakening is the most simple thing. Every awakened being will tell you the same thing. They were looking for something else, they were looking for something special, but it's nothing actually. It's nothing at all. Thinking of something, it's putting it in a way that this is some object, some form, but you cannot put it into a form. It's something what is formless, and all the forms appears in it. So for all the people who actually would like to sit and stay calmly to observe what is happening, and to see can they draw the attention out of the world into themselves, in order to fully realize that anything that is being perceived is not me. Sit down for 7 minutes and close your eyes, become aware of your breathing, and watch your thoughts, because you are there to observe your thoughts. Always you are there to observe your thoughts. Unless you're getting identified with the thoughts, you'll get pulled into the game of thoughts, and next thing you'll notice that, oh, I was thinking the whole time. But even that, the recognition that I was thinking the whole time, is when the consciousness recognizes that it was inside the mind play. Once that happens, it means you're already here, you're present, nothing more to do. Stay again observing that I'm here, I'm observing, and sometimes you're pulled in, but every single time, once you observe that I was pulled in again, you get stronger and stronger. Because a lot of people get discouraged when they start doing, and in such doing, when they start doing the meditation, they get distracted, that when they get pulled in the thoughts, they immediately get discouraged, since they think that the mind is so strong and I cannot stop my thoughts. And I speak with people who believe that there is no way, it's impossible to stop your thoughts. And especially I don't remember, is it Nietzsche, who said, I think therefore I am. And this is the most deceiving statement in history, which a lot of people take it to be so true. So if you don't think, that you stop existing. and that is my question. Can you stop existing without thinking? And you'll soon notice that through the 7-minute meditation, even not meditation, I don't even want to call it meditation because it will become a technique to do something. This is simple sitting for 7 minutes when you feel comfortable and noticing what is there, what is present. You'll see that you perceive the thoughts, you see that you perceive the breathing, you see that you perceive the body. Everything is being perceived. At this moment, pay attention to that which perceives. There's always that witnessing presence. And what is important really to see, once you become this witnessing presence, you are actually also seeing that this witnessing presence is also being witnessed. So even that which you identify yourself that you see, you are the seer of all. You have to ask after that, am I the seer, or am I the one who sees even the seer? So this is by far one of the most important questions, and if you go deeply with this question and don't let it go, you don't run away from it, very quickly you'll see that even the seer which you thought it to be, it's not you. Even that is not you, because you can perceive even the seer. So now at this point you have to notice, if the witness is being witnessed, who witnesses the actual witnessing, and can that be witnessed? I'll pass my mic to Robin.
Thank you, Rimvi. I'm looking back at the board here, and Sam brought up a good point where she said, this is big for the A Course in Miracles community. Often we feel like the guided, and Holy Spirit is the guider. And like you say, there is a split there. There are two, not one, in the idea anyway. And this is where I see that Rimvi, in us messaging in the last few days, the point that he was getting across was that how, and what you just shared then, Rimvi, so beautiful, as we become as we are the witness, or step back, to watch, be the watcher, be the witness. Rimvi said, go beyond that again. We go beyond being the watcher, being the witness, to realizing there's more, and we believe that we are that being the witness is it. And when Rimvi brought this to my attention the other day, of course the ego self's like, what? There's more? Oh, of course there's levels. So easy to get caught up in this. And something that I asked Rimvi, which was along the line of contemplating. Rimvi had pointed me, had shared something with me, and I said, oh, I'll go and contemplate on that. And Rimvi kind of stopped me in my tracks and said, you're going to go contemplate? Who's going to contemplate? So, there again is the two, the one who's contemplating, and where am I going? And in the contemplation, I see it as that, stepping back, questioning, having a really good look at the darkness, so to speak, having a really good look at what's bothering, having a really good look at the fear. And as we question it, we're questioning it with Holy Spirit, bringing the darkness to the light, and Holy Spirit, we fall back into the arms of love and realize what we thought happened didn't happen. What we thought occurred never occurred. And where Rimvi so beautifully pointed that who's going to contemplate? So I would love you to share some more about that, Rimvi. I'm handing over the mic.
Okay, as Sam said, yes, for the community of Course in Miracles, I understand why this would be so, because Course in Miracles in general it's a great book for pointing you to that which cannot be pointed. But a lot of people mistake it as I don't know, a book of pointers which they they start worshiping, and they don't really take a further step to get into seeing that there's nothing more than just one. Holy Spirit is you. There's no other way. It's only that way. Because what you call Holy Spirit is the idea which you project of it. And the Holy Spirit is only a concept which is being held. So being guided by Holy Spirit is just being guided by the greater part of the self. The more conscious, the higher expanded consciousness part of the self. And if you become fully conscious and aware, you become alert that there is nothing more than that self, and self is guiding itself. And it is so simple. As for the contemplation, there's still the concept held that I need to sit down, I need to contemplate about this, I need to sit with this for a night or 2 or 3. But as I said, at this very moment, no more, no less, this very moment, everything can be finished. You can be fully realized being this very moment. Contemplating means that you need to take something, sit with something, and think about that, and keep rethinking. But this all is coming from the mind. Mind is so cunning and subtle that you really need to be very, very alert to see how the mind will dress up. Now the mind will dress up as a contemplator, because I'm really into this, I want to realize myself, so I need to contemplate what's being said. No, it's just recognize what is presently available here. Contemplation is for the mind. Leave it for the mind, and you don't go with the mind. You stay as you are, because all that you need to see, all that you need to know is at this very moment. Why every great sage says that know thyself and you'll know the whole universe, or you can try to know the whole universe and you'll come back to the self. So if you come to fully know yourself, you'll know everything and anything completely. Any book that you would have read before will become useless to you, because all the greatest knowledge is in you. Every book is written from you, and 99% of the books which is in the market is just to work with the ego and just to work with the mind. And as long as you want to work with it, you can keep working with it for the longest time, and maybe lifetimes even, if you don't realize that this is still another play with the mind. And this is what happens in most of the organized religions. They give you more and more illusions, and they don't really try to point you to what is true, what is absolutely true. They give you a relative truth, which is actually, it's okay, it's still a mind game, and mind feels to find itself through that way, and everything is good. All is good. It's as long as you are not really going to a suicidal point, all is good. And even that, it's good. But this already going a bit too much, because you're doing something against existence. If existence gave you life to experience yourself, to go to commit a suicide this is the greatest sin, to go against existence. Because we're here to confirm our existence, to realize that we are not separate from the existence. We are the existence itself. Only if you take that I part which you believe yourself to be, you take that away. So then you leave existence to take care of existence, and then you become like space moving in space. And all this might sound like a poetry, but it is an immediate experience. If you really want to know, if you can just look at it right now at this moment, confirm it directly with yourself, that who can be there else than me? It's all your expression of consciousness, and contemplating is only for the mind. You can go contemplating for many years and many lifetimes, and you will reach nothing. You might get crazy, because you see that the more I contemplate, the more I have to contemplate about. And what's going to happen immediately once you get insight, and you even that getting an insight, it's very hard to talk about this, because while saying get an insight, there's somebody to get it. But I want you to be clear that I'm not using I to get an insight as an actual I, just to become insightful as the whole. to become aware completely as the whole. So if I use the word I, do not take it as this is something separate from the absolute. Absolute and absolute totality is you, and there is nothing else. You cannot be anything else. You're the certain expression of that, which believes that contemplation is needed. But if you go beyond that belief, you'll find that contemplation itself is a drive for the mind to keep you trapped in the illusion. And this is a very, very strong way for the mind to work, because mind now becomes very, very subtle, and it needs to find different ways to trap you. Because the more alert, the more aware you become, the more subtle minds has to become to deceive you. Contemplation is it seems from the first sight it's all fine. It's, I'm just gonna sit down and contemplate, but nobody really looks. Who needs to contemplate? Who needs to look at it exactly? Who needs to sit with it? As I was working today with one person privately, he also had some issues because mind steps in a way and says, "Oh, I need to sit with this for a moment," and so on. As I see somebody says contemplation is a mental masturbation. It is fun and exciting, but if you do it too long, it will get tiring and exhausting also. So don't do it too long. Do it as long as it's fun and exciting. Afterwards, drop it off, because it will get exhausting as well. So really, if you want to know yourself completely, you don't need any of it. Will you go blind? You may be blind right now, but I'm trying to open your eyes and look at what I'm showing. Yes, you can get a lot of great realizations in contemplation, insights. So you can get many things of it. In this way, mind attaches you more to it, because then you feel that if I sit more, if I contemplate more, I will realize more. I'll get more out of it, but there's nothing more to get. What can you offer to the absolute? Is there anything that you can give to the totality? Or can you take away anything from it? The more you think that there's something more, the more deeply you go into illusion. And more is only of the mind. Mind wants more all the time. The same as mind wants to multiply, mind wants to do something more, mind wants to read something more. Forget about all. Just simply be now very alert to see what is here. There's nothing else than here. And this very moment can be your last moment of search. If you're still interested in seeking, you can go for many lifetimes and keep seeking for something until you finally get fed up with it. And that moment is the moment when the consciousness really looks for the truth, and truth should be your only authority. What is better than contemplation? Recognition. There is nothing else. You simply need to recognize at this moment there is no thing to contemplate. You just need to recognize yourself. What is present here? What is that I that needs to do the contemplation? What is that I that really needs anything? Because if you think that you need to contemplate, there must be somebody who wants to do the contemplation to gain something. So do you see the whole process of getting deluded into another duality? If you want to simply be here now, complete and total, absolute yourself, so take a mirror. I am a mirror of yours. Can you see yourself in me? Because I see myself in every single being, in every single expression. Even in the wall, I see myself. Can you see yourself in me? Yeah, so I'm being a mirror to all of you, and if you can look into it and see your face, I'll be very happy if that will happen. So just clean the mirror for yourself of any thoughts, of any concepts and ideas which you have right now. Because if you have too many concepts and ideas, the mirror is very dirty and it's very hard to see. Contemplation is another idea which you need to clean up and let go of it. Once the mirror is clean, seeing is immediate. There's no more. You just look at the mirror and seeing is instant. It's here, it's now. Mirror doesn't say, come back after 5 minutes, or go to contemplate 5 minutes more and then maybe you'll see my ring. So, it's mind is funny, but you all are here to see your mind. So don't really believe in the mind. Mind will give you so many ideas, so many thoughts to contemplate and stuff, but you are here before the mind to see all of it. And yeah, I'll pass the mic to Robin.
I was sitting here and laughing and saying to myself, going beyond the beyond, going beyond the beyond, and laughing's good. I told Rimvi before I liked his smiley better than mine because his was laughing, mine was just smiling. I went, oh. Finding the laughing smiley. So thank you so much, Rimvi. And I wanted to what I've got. I've actually got a couple of things that let me see here. I'm feeling guided toward. I'm going to go here. Okay, you spoke before about the seer and what is being seen. And I'd love you to speak further on that and speak about the Holy Trinity, which is something you brought up in a message to me the other day. And you spoke about the pointer, what is being pointed at, and the one looking at the pointing. So I'm going to hand over the mic.
Okay, so going beyond the beyond is another idea. Don't take it seriously. It's funny how the mind will try to do anything with my, I may say, do not go anywhere, just be here. Going beyond is of a mind. Mind wants to go somewhere. You are here all the time. You will see the mind going beyond and going beyond and going beyond. How much more do you need to go to be who you are? How much further do you need to go to find yourself? Aren't you here already? Notice that which is ever present. And as for the pointer and being pointed at, and what did I say there? The pointer being pointed at and the one which points. As for the Holy Trinity, there's once you become aware of the self, you completely and can understand all the symbolism of all the religions or any symbolism that is being presented. So to really notice the Holy Trinity is to notice that which is already new present, and it's very simple if you see that what is being pointed at, the one who points and that who is to follow the pointer, they're all the same, and your mind will split it into three. But why the Holy Trinity is called even holy? It's because it's whole, it's not separate. So there's no way to separate the Trinity into any more parts. It's the Holy Trinity is one and whole, and to notice that the seeing of all these things, that the pointer, the being pointed at, and the one who points, all of these are seen. None of it is unseen. So notice simply that seeing is present to see all of it. And if you see that you are that seer, you are that never blind seer, unless you believe into something to be else, you become blind. But if you simply stay as the seer, the pure seer which you are, nobody can blind you. Once you open your eyes, nothing will be the same. And as Robin shared with me, that her life has been shifting ever since we've been talking. And it's true, once the seeing starts happening, it is very funny how the life not life actually, mind will try to manifest in your life various situations to pull you in again. And for Robin, what happened, her phone got left out and it started raining. And in that way, mind thought that this is a perfect way to draw you into the feelings, into emotions, into rage or anything. But really now, is it that important? And as Robin shared, for the first time in her life, she didn't have any investment in it. There was simple, pure observance of what is, and that didn't really affect her. It's just saying, well, this is what happened. And once you don't identify yourself with the mind anymore, you just simply see that this is a happening, and that's it. What can you do about it? It is as it is. And if it so happened, it means it has to happen that way, because what is there for a reason. And if you want something not to be there, you are saying something against what already is, and that's insanity. Not being able to accept what already is present. Even all the wars in the world, all the poverty and crime and so on, so what that is there? So what? It is there. Your inability to accept that this is how it has to be at the moment. The insanity of people, the unconsciousness of people, draw them into such ways to become basically primal animals again and fight and do all this nonsense. You will become too much indulged that you will become the Mother Teresa, which has to help everybody and pull everybody out and so on. It's all good as long as you help, but if you try to convert the small children into Christians and not into the Christ, it's not so good. So it really doesn't matter what is being presented there in the world. If you know that what is, it's perfectly fine. Your acceptance of what is the greatest mantra that you can think of. Say yes to what is. That is the only mantra which will help you to really come into peace of mind, because mind always will want something else than that is. For the mind, everything that is, some things will be acceptable, some things will be not. But if you cannot accept that is, it will always be a great suffering for you, as David says. Yes, suffering only occurs if you cannot accept that which is already present here. So for you to very simply get out of all the suffering, all the problems, if you have in life any situations, see that at this moment what you have in life, it is for you unique moment to get into full acceptance of what is. Once you can do that, that thing alone can reveal all the mysteries of life. But if you always want to escape from that thing that is, you want a better future, you want the past which was better than it is now, it's you always go for something else that is, and that will never help you to really become liberated. Liberation comes only with full acceptance. And if something is at the moment as it is, accept it. What can you do? Mind will not accept it, but to you it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, to the one who sees, the seer is never affected. The seer only sees, and the seeing presence which you are, it doesn't care. It cannot care. The only quality of this seeing presence is sheer and pure bliss. There's no other quality, because in that seeing, everything is accepted, nothing is rejected. And if this is so for your life, very quickly or even now, you will notice that you have this freedom which you never had before, or you thought that you had never had before, but now you just recognize that I always had it, and this freedom was simply attached to very, very different ways of thinking and believing, which kept me from seeing it completely. So if you want to come into full seeing, you have to let go of all the beliefs, of all the concepts and attachments, all the attempts and any any ideas which you might have of the world. Enlightenment is very simple if you don't make it into something really complicated. Well, if you have a grievance with the temperature, so accept the grievance. So what? The temperature changes, and what can you do? If your body feels in a certain way, so that is being observed. Still, you're not affected. Your body is affected, and you accept it. You know, if you want to, you can go and get some ice or do something else. But I'm not saying that you cannot change anything. If you are so interested to change something, you can go and do everything that you like. The only thing that you need to know that battling against what is will give you suffering, and if you want suffering, you can go and do that. But if you want peace of mind, actually peace from mind would be a better way to say, drop your mind now and come into full seeing of what you are. If you don't really want to become fully realized right now, you can go along and keep listening, keep reading, keep watching, looking for more. But if you want to come into full realization at this moment, just drop everything right now and look what is here. What is here is perfectly fine. What is here is to be accepted, not denied. And I'll pass the mic to Robin.
Wow, thank you so much, Rimvi. Okay, let's see here. I wrote this down when you said liberation comes only from full acceptance. Thank you, Rimvi. So we've got just a couple of minutes left here. And something you had written on an email to me, and if you feel like sharing on this, Rimvi, or take it wherever you want to take it. If you go in a different direction, I'm just going to read the last note that I had written here from a message that we had shared. It's on fear. If the fear is there, invite it completely. This is from you, Rimvi. This is what you wrote to me. If the fear is there, invite it completely. Fear means that there is something to be afraid of and someone to be afraid to. Recognize to whom the fear is coming really. Recognize to whom the fear is coming really. Fear cannot exist without duality, so there must be some lingering around which really needs to be chopped. I'm going to hand back the mic if you feel like sharing some more on that, Rimvi. Thank you.
Yeah, so as for the fear and the seer, it's the very important thing is to see that the fear is manifested only because there's somebody and to be afraid of something. Once the fear is gone, only love is present. Fear is the ugly quality of love. And if you get rid of the fear, and you don't even need to try to get rid of the fear, you just simply need to see the one which is behind the fear, the one which is to be afraid. Because if you really follow what I'm saying at this moment and go deeply with it, even deeply is not the right word, just go with it and confirm directly with yourself at this moment, a lot of you might recognize the fear rising, and that fear comes out of the mind, because mind senses its death coming. But it's okay, even the fear is being observed. You don't have to be afraid, because if you are afraid, it means you're identified, and the fear is only something which is an illusion in the mind, as Lenny says, and it's true. Fear is an illusion in the mind, and mind is itself illusion. Mind is simply a thought, because you cannot point the mind somewhere. Let go of that thought that you have a mind. Once you actually kill the mind, then you can bring it back as a friend. But right now, your mind will be the biggest enemy, which will bring you fear and very, very different emotions and ways to deceive you. So be very alert at this moment to find yourself completely. And afterwards, mind will be the greatest tool and greatest servant that there is. And don't be the servant of the mind. Be the master of the mind.
Thank you, Rimvi. Be the master of the mind. Thank you so much. I see that it is time here. It is 8 o'clock on East Coast. So I'm going to hand over the mic. Thanks again, Rimvi, so much. And Rimvi, if you could maybe send me your website, message me your website, or if Dove has it, then we'll put it up on the board here so people can see your website. And we will be posting the recording on Rimvi's website and on Open Mind's Facebook wall. Thank you so much. Lots of love and aloha. My website is robinbuxfield.com, and we'll be posting Rimvi's up here just shortly. Thank you. Aloha. Over to you, Dove.
All right. Thank you so much, Robin Buzzfield and Rimvi. Thank you so much. And I was asked to record this, and I did.